As 2020 was an unprecedented year, our Best Of series is doing something different this time. We have interviews with each of the ScottyMeLad crew members as they talk about what some of their favorite video games, TV series, and movies were for the year, as this is our favorites of 2020.
5. Yeah, actually, this is an okay order. We'll go with this. So, Melee.
Yeah.
So the thing is, I've been doing so much, like, because I was doing a boot camp, right? I was like coding all day. I haven't really had time to like play a lot of video games. So whenever I do play video games, like, largely I've been playing stuff that I'm already comfortable with. But I've approached it differently. I think as a result of me kind of getting systematically better at programming. It's a unique game in that it's extremely execution based because it's so fast. It's not necessarily combo based, right? So it's not just how many inputs can you do like in the correct order, like a lot of 2D fighters, but it's also extremely strategic where you can play against somebody that is just good at melee and they have no tech skill and they'll destroy you because they just make better decisions than you. As I've gone through this process of improving myself and getting better at programming, I've been able to take that to Melee in a really new and different way for me, where it's like, okay, whenever I get on Melee, it's more like I'm playing chess. There's a lot of decision making, but then I can also like iteratively work on my tech skill. And I'm constantly playing players that are better than me, like constantly. I've been appreciating it for a very different reason lately. 4. So this is what I wrote. I wrote Rogue Moon LOL.
Yeah. I was hoping this would be on your list, actually.
Yeah, I mean, look, like that's the thing. I played so few games that my own game that I made it on the list just because I didn't play enough games. It's almost like roguelike. If you play Gwent from The Witcher 3, it's like roguelike Gwent, where you're essentially you have to beat the computer to 10 wins, and if you lose, then your account gets destroyed. But really, the game kind of sucks. I mean, it's just like a really crappy version of Gwent.
But you made it. That's what's special.
And you know what's so funny? And actually, this is something that I can't stop talking about this freaking game that I made, dude, because I had so much fun making it. The computer opponent in this game is me. So, I'd be playing against it, and I'd like recognize a situation where it's like, okay, if I was playing, I would do this. So I code in that behavior. And essentially what happened is like, okay, so now this thing just does all the decisions that I would do, but it does them more consistently. So me as a player, it's like my only option is to either mix it up, kind of overcome the obstacle, or just lose every time to it, which is mostly what happens.
That's cool because it helps you train and like know what you do and like get out of your comfort zone in terms of like gameplay.
3. I got a lot of inspiration for my game from this game, and you put me onto it. It's Slay the Spire.
Yeah.
I'm really, really glad that you showed me Slay the Spire, because the only 2 things that I did during my capstone project for those 2 weeks, I coded, slept, ate, and played Slay the Spire. And I just thought about it as kind of like studying. It made me think about like mechanics, gave me inspiration for mechanics. I mean, the whole idea, like the whole roguelike idea, I didn't have until I played Slay the Spire. And it ended up being a pivotal part of the game that brought the whole game together and makes it cool. It's the only thing that makes the game cool. My game, not Slay the Spire. That's what I'm saying. Slay the Spire is dope. You never played it, play it. If you're a nerd, you like card games, play Slay the Spire. That game is legendary. 2. As a result of me programming all the time, I have gotten super, super into like vaporwave and like 80s and 90s aesthetic stuff. So retro and 8-bit and 16-bit games I love, and Hyperlight Drifter is like one of the best ones. Like objectively, it's so good. 1. And you're gonna hate me for doing this, and I hate myself.
I can never hate you, Ben.
Bro, well, it's Call of Duty Modern Warfare, so...
So, when you say Modern Warfare, do you mean, like, okay, because now Call of Duty is such a bigger thing. Are you talking about Warzone? Are you talking about the campaign? Are you talking about multiplayer, or all of the above?
I definitely don't mean Warzone.
Okay.
I definitely don't. If I were to put Warzone on this list, I'd put Apex above it. obviously, but I'm not going to talk about Apex anymore. No, I'm specifically talking about the thing that got us through the early days of quarantine, playing 2v2s in COD. But it was just so much fun. I mean, and that's the thing. Like for me, it had these my lists are more about like impact that it had on me, not necessarily my opinion of them. Like COVID was such a big deal and definitely defines 2019 or 2020 for me, and like for everybody in a lot of ways. And COD kind of went hand in hand with that, where like all we were doing was playing COD and playing Apex. That's it. So yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. I wouldn't look, man. I'm not gonna say that COD helped my mental health in any positive way, or that it ever has or ever will. But I almost would feel guilty for not putting it on the list.
Yeah.
5.
My number 5 was probably Mando. Mando was really good. It was pretty much almost exactly what I wanted it to be. It was a fun season. I liked it.
4.
Cowboy Bebop, which I'd never seen before, which Scott put me on to. Just, I mean, like, there's nothing I'm going to say about the show that, you know, you yourself haven't said 1,000 times before. Just a good show. And it's so original and so creative and beautiful. Just a good show. I like it a lot.
3.
Number 3 was Queen's Gambit.
That narrowly missed my list, but I've been wanting to watch that.
It's done apparently very big things for the chess community. Like, they've had a huge surge of players between Queen's Gambit and COVID. They already had a big surge of players because of COVID. I mean, just a really great show. And the thing is, I mean, I'm so used to shows and movies that make me feel like depressed or sad.
Mm-hmm.
That it was really nice. This one, you know, it's like emotional because you care about the characters because they have good characters. But it's a show about chess. All right, it's not going to blast you apart. I almost said
right.
something else, but it's good watching.
2.
Above those other 3, and you're going to hate me for this, is actually Metagame, the recent Smash documentary.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
It documents the history, like this period of Melee's history called the Era of the Five Gods. But it's made by one guy, 2 guys. Like, one guy did the music, and then the other guy's named Samox, has been making it for 9 years.
Wow.
And it is really, really good. He premiered it on Twitch. I would say like a lot of the Melee community had a problem with the final 3 episodes of it. It's 8 episodes. Each one's an hour long. But it's really high quality. And if you're ever wondering like what the deal is with Melee, it's a good one to watch because it's super easy to watch. It has very easy to follow storylines. And a lot of the players are still relevant. They don't talk about some players that are very relevant. And also that was the era where some really like Melee was doing really, really well.
1.
And the top one would be Dairy Girls. If you
Oh, okay. That's been in my Netflix list, but I have not watched it yet.
Bro, it's so good. So I've watched the entire show at this point 3 times, and I never do that ever. And it was still funny. Like, it was maybe not quite as funny around like the 3rd time around, but it's like I've already heard these jokes like dozens of times. But it's just so well written, and it's very real. So it takes place in Northern Ireland during the Troubles, and the writer, her name is Lisa McGee. She is from Derry, which is where the town, like where the show takes place. She's like, this is like her childhood. And then, like, of course, all of the actresses are Irish, with the exception of one British guy. So it's like it's just very genuine, and it's really, really funny.
5.
I put it up here just because it kind of is relevant to what I'm doing. It's called The Social Dilemma. Yeah, so to me, it wasn't, you know, like, I think it was super cringy in a lot of ways, and it was kind of ham-fisted, but you know, me as like someone that's becoming a software engineer, something that really struck me about the movie that I hadn't really thought about before. One of the main dudes in it says, how can we keep the user hooked, right? That's like, you know, how you want to keep a user engaged, which, like, you know, for us that play games, it's like, that sounds like a good thing, right? He noted that in these meetings, there was never a discussion of what is best for the user. That's like kind of that's like one of those big fresh ideas that you want to have, you know? That's kind of like what I want to bring to the industry.
4.
Number 4 was 2001: A Space Odyssey, which I have seen before. It's just, if you've never seen it, it is such a crazy, weird movie. But there are parts of it which are just super compelling, and you don't see them in any other movie, right? Because it's a Kubrick film. I read an interview that Kubrick did, and he said that ultimately his goal was to affect like a feeling on the viewer. Okay. And I think that's what it did for me. You know, like a lot of people, I think, get angry when they see that kind of really avant-garde weird stuff. And that's fair, because like, you know, if I paid $10 to go to a movie theater to see that, and I was like, okay, I'm not entertained, I'm just sort of like sitting here watching it happen. You know, if you're interested in like kind of having a movie as an experience, or like maybe trying to learn something from it even, I mean, it's bizarre, but you know, for me, like you can kind of like fill in the gaps with your own imagination.
3.
So the next one is The Other Lamb, which, have you seen that?
I do not know what The Other Lamb is.
But it was an Amazon original movie, and it was a horror movie, and it's really good. Like, check it out if you like horror movies. It's good because, like, essentially, well, let me see if I can give a synopsis without giving it away. It's sort of like about a cult, kind of, and it's like short and sweet. It's like an hour and a half, right? It's almost like a freaking YouTube creepypasta short film, but like longer than that and higher budget. The acting was strong in it. The story was pretty clear and concise, and it had a clear ending. You know, it did its job as a horror movie, but it was kind of artsy at the same time. So it hit all the Ben's sweet spots, pretentious and scary.
2.
Number 2 was The Lighthouse. I mean, you know what? This honestly should probably be like number 3. It was really good. Super avant-garde. I like avant-garde horror movies, but this one was almost too avant-garde for me, where it was just so metaphorical that I was like, it was hilarious. We watched it together. I'm glad we did. If I watched it alone, I probably wouldn't have had as good of a time. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say.
1.
So number 1 is Real Steel, which is why I kind of feel weird about putting it at number 1. I saw it for the first time, and like that should not be number 1. Dude.
That's awesome. No, I hear that movie's really, really good.
Dude, no, but the thing is, number 2 is The Lighthouse. So like, how am I gonna put The Lighthouse below Real Steel? These aren't comparable at all. So yeah, number 1 would be Real Steel. I'd never seen it before. It was good. I mean, good in like a sense, like it was fun. Yeah, dude, it's Hugh Jackman, and like literally, nothing really strikes me about that movie other than that they totally just like, so basically the robot is alive and they just never address it. They never do. I was surprised. I was like, wait, are you kidding me, dude? Because like the whole thing is like they're super attached to these robots, but then they'll go and murder them, and it's like, okay, well, that's already kind of weird, but hey, at least they're not alive, even though they act like they are. And then like this one actually is alive. Like the little kid asks it if it can understand him, and it says yes. And then the little kid goes and like actively puts it in danger and like challenges like the big baddies and all this stuff. And it's like, wait, what? So there's that struck me. And at this point, yeah, it's just criticism. I guess that's, you know, how my top 5 goes.
But it's a fun criticism.
Yeah, it's fun. It's like, wait, what? And the robot like matches the little kid's movements. And so the little kid dances to Eminem songs.
That sounds like the best.
It was fun. It's like, you know, Pacific Rim, but for little kids, even more little than that.